Welcome everyone! In this lecture we're going to break down the concept of management systems. You'll walk away with a solid understanding of what they are, how they work, and why they're essential to achieving organizational goals. Now here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the concept of management, something most of us are already familiar with. Then we'll talk about systems, which are maybe a bit less familiar but just as important. And finally, we'll put it all together to explore management systems. Alright, let's jump right in with management. According to the International Standards Organization, management involves activities to direct, control, and continually improve an organization. That includes planning, supervising, allocating resources, basically making sure that things get done in a structured way. Whether it's one person managing a team or a complex hierarchy, management is always about achieving objectives. And I'm sure when you hear management, you already have a good idea of what it means, because it's pretty much all around us in everyday business life. Next up, systems. This concept might feel more abstract at first, but don't worry, we'll make it very practical. A system is a set of things, we call them components or elements, that work together as a whole. There are some key features that every system has. So, a system has components, like I said. These are the individual parts, like the cogs in a machine. They're integrated, so those parts are connected and work together. There's some sort of logic or structure that governs how they interact, and there's a limit to what's part of the system and what's outside of it. Systems are always influenced by what's going on around them, which is the environment, and they take something in, do something with it, and produce results, so inputs and outputs. And most importantly, every system exists for a reason. It has a purpose. Now let's take a computer. It's a perfect example of a system. It has components, like the CPU, memory, storage, etc. And these parts interact in a structured way according to rules, like instructions in software. It has inputs, so keyboard strokes, mouse clicks, and it produces outputs, what you see on the screen. And all of this serves a purpose, whether it's browsing the internet or running complex business applications. So we've looked at management, and we've looked at systems. And now it's time to put those two concepts together. When we combine the structure of a system with the goal-driven nature of management, we get, exactly, a management system. According to ISO 9000, a management system is a set of interrelated or interacting elements of an organization to establish policies and objectives and processes to achieve those objectives. So in simple terms, it's how an organization structures itself to achieve what it sets out to do, through defined roles, policies, and procedures. So it's not about guessing or winging it, it's about having a clear, intentional system to manage and improve performance. Now let's be realistic. Management systems don't guarantee success. Just because you have one doesn't mean you'll hit every objective. But it does mean you've got a structured, repeatable way of working toward them. So it's like a navigation system in a car. It doesn't drive the car for you, but it helps you stay on track and adjusts you if you take the wrong turn. So what are the building blocks of management systems? Typically, they include things like organizational structure, so who does what, roles and responsibilities that provide further clarity on duties and responsibilities, some sort of culture, so how people think and act, and policies and objectives, so the rules and goals that guide behavior. Finally, we have processes. These are the step-by-step ways of doing things, and these are the elements that make the system function. And the better they're defined and aligned, the better your chances are of reaching your objectives. Let's talk about the element of organizational structure first. Every organization is different, but each one has some sort of hierarchy so that personnel has a clear idea of what is expected from them. Top-level management usually has some sort of governance function and provides the organization with a strategic vision and enterprise goals. It's then the job of management to develop plans on how to achieve these goals by assigning tasks to employees working in operational functions. So governance is provided from top to bottom, whereas reporting lines work the other way around. So I guess most of you have a boss who gives you instructions on what you need to do, while in return you provide your boss with the results of your work, or in other words, you provide feedback. Next up, every management system needs defined roles and responsibilities. Every management system needs clarity on roles and responsibilities. So it's not just about job titles, it's about making sure everyone knows what they're expected to do and how they contribute to the system's objectives. We typically ask 3 simple but powerful questions. Who does what? Who is ultimately accountable? And who supports and how? A common tool here is the RACI matrix. This means responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed, to clarify roles in projects and processes. Let's talk about culture. And what better example than this image of traditional Bavarian dances? You don't need a sign to tell you what's going on. The clothing, the posture, the rhythm, it all communicates a shared tradition and understanding. That's culture. In organizations, culture is the way we do things around here. It's shaped by shared values, beliefs, and behaviors. Often unwritten, but deeply felt. You can't always see it or measure it, but you'll definitely notice when it's missing, misaligned, or even toxic. In a management system, culture plays a crucial role. Even with the best policies and procedures, if the culture doesn't support them, they'll likely fail. For example, a policy might say report incidents, but if the culture punishes mistakes, probably many people won't. Every management system needs at least one policy. In an information security management system, policies, standards, and procedures work together to ensure consistency, compliance, and effectiveness. They form a structured hierarchy where policies set the direction, topic-specific policies define the rules, and procedures provide step-by-step instructions. A policy is a formal expression of intent. It tells everyone what we care about, what we're aiming for, and what's non-negotiable. Now that we have a direction set by the policy, the next question is, what exactly do we want to achieve? That's where objectives come in. Objectives are the specific outcomes we aim for. They make the policy actionable. They need to be aligned with the policy and overall business goals, measurable so we can track progress, and realistic but also motivating. For example, if your policy is about delivering high-quality products, your objective might be reduce customer complaints by 20% in the next 12 months. Different organizations or even different departments will have different types of objectives, depending on what they're managing. Here are some examples. Quality objectives, for example, customer satisfaction or defect rates. Health and safety objectives, for example, reduce workplace accidents, increase safety training coverage, etc. Environmental objectives, reducing CO2 emissions or minimizing waste. And finally, information security objectives, for example, prevent data breaches or improve incident response times. Now, the final key element in our management system is processes. A process is a set of activities that are linked together to transform inputs into outputs. Think of a process like a recipe. You start with raw ingredients. This is your inputs. Follow a series of steps and end up with a dish. This is your output. The better your process, the more consistent and reliable your results will be. Processes involve participants that execute activities in a certain order, according to predefined procedures. In this example, you can see an example of a BPMN diagram. BPMN is the global standard for business process modeling. Now that we have seen the key elements of a management system, structure, roles, culture, policy, objectives, and processes, you might wonder how this all gets formalized or standardized. And that's where management system standards come into play. These ISO standards provide internationally recognized frameworks that help organizations build effective management systems in specific domains. Each one is aligned with the structure we've just covered, often following the high-level structure which makes them easier to integrate. Here are 4 of the most widely used. ISO 9001, which focuses on quality, ISO 45001, which is about health and safety, ISO 14001, which addresses environmental performance, and finally ISO 27001, which deals with information security, aiming at protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. Alright, that's it. See you in the next lecture, where we are going to learn more about information security management systems.